couple of the people who are really active on the divestment campaign, so if you want to learn more, you could talk to them. We have Anthony Polina here tonight, who's one of our strongest legislative allies on this issue. Thank you. Catherine Lowther is here, and she works at Goddard and was really pivotal in getting Goddard to divest. And then we have Deborah Messing, who has been a great organizer on this issue, and we put on a personal divestment forum that Deborah really put together, and that was a great event in Burlington where people learned about how to divest personally. Yay, Deborah! Thank you. And of course, Rob from Sierra Club. Sierra Club is one of our partner organizations on this campaign as well, and we've been working together on it for a while now, so that's great.
Could you introduce that gentleman?
I don't know if I need.
What's your name?
The man in the beard? With the beard?
Because you seem to know a lot about it.
Great. And I should say, Taylor is our fossil-free fellow for the summer, and she is working on the divestment campaign at Middlebury. So, yay!
And I want to do one more shout out for Jillian, who left 350 and was left for Seattle. So everybody say, thank you, Jillian!
She was our divestment organizer, staff organizer. So, okay, so a way of an update on the divestment campaign, we're trying to get the state pension fund to divest from fossil fuel companies. And it's been going on for a couple of years now, and we have active legislation on this issue, both in the House and in the Senate. And it sits actually in Anthony's committee in government operations. And what else can I say about it? So we're really hopeful about it progressing legislatively in the upcoming session. There are kind of two ways that divestment could happen. The legislature could, through legislation, instruct the pension committee to divest, or the pension committee, which is a 7-member group, could, on their own, vote to divest as well. So we've been working in both of those fronts, and a little bit more heavily with the pension committee itself right now, since the legislative session is off session. And what's interesting is what's coming up, and I want you all to know about, is that that pension committee meets every month. And the July meeting, which is July 28th, it's a Tuesday. Hope many of you can come out. We want to have a big presence because they're going to be reporting back on coal divestment. So the pension committee has an investment consultant that advises them on how to invest the pension committee, or the pension funds. And 2 years ago, that investment company or investment manager that is pretty conservative came back and said, with a report on divestment, and they said, oh no, this is going to cost too much money, this is ridiculous, this is not something that Vermont should do. And so we've kind of been pushing back against that. So they are the same group that's reporting back in July meeting on coal divestment. So we're really hoping that this will be a first kind of easy step for the pension committee to take, and then we'll kind of open the door for more divestments of the other fossil fuels. So I think that's all I want to say. I would love to first, Eric, open it up to some of the other divestment volunteers who might want to add something to what I've said already. I don't know, Anthony, if you want to say anything on the issue.
I would say two things. One, you mentioned this study or analysis that was done for the pension board, which said that that divestment would lose money, basically. And there's a lot of others who refute that study. So I have asked the Joint Fiscal Office to look at the study and look at some of the analyses from Eric Becker and others that refute it. And so they're doing that. I don't know what they're going to say, but they basically, if they didn't, it was not a high priority for them. They said, well, we have education funding to deal with, we have health care to deal with. But they did, it appears as if they're going to take a look at it. And if they come up with a good analysis, that'll be really helpful.
That will be. Yay, let's give a round of applause for that.
The other just quick thing is I'm going to try to talk to the Vermont State Employees Retirement Association, or Association of Retired State Employees, because they have not been supportive, as you know. And it's partly their pensions that we're talking about. So,
And the teachers.
well, but it's the state employees that have been saying don't do it. I mean, the teachers, I don't think have said one thing or the other.
Do you know why?
Well, because it's their pension money, and they listened to this study that was done by this group, I forget who they are, that said if you do divestment, you're going to threaten your pension returns. So it's logical for them to say that they don't want to do it for that reason. I mean, they're concerned. So.
Did they say it by a little or by a lot?
Well,
I would guess it's pretty little.
it was not a lot, given that we're talking about billions of dollars.
Well, yeah, and there's debate around what I mean. Some of the things that are coming out right now are showing that some of the fossil fuel free indices are actually outperforming the ones with
Right.
fossil fuels, right? But there's this threatening number that came out of this NEPIC study, New England Pension Investment Group. That's the group that did the study, and they claimed it was $10 million. Which is really just a scare tactic because it's pretty radically different from what many other asset management groups are saying. So,
What is that as a percentage, though? I mean, $10 million would mean what percentage? And what, of what?
well, of the $4 billion pension fund,
Okay, so
they're
it's
claiming
pretty
that on an
tiny.
annual
Right,
basis.
it's like I said, it's not very much,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
enough to scare people. So
Yeah.
if we can refute that analysis, then that would help us, change the whole debate around.
So let's take just a couple more because I want to have time for Jim, and he's got his family here, so he might be on a. Oh, they left. Okay. Let's see. Let's have somebody we haven't heard from. Yeah.
Is it possible to tie divestment to the creation of a state bank?
That's the man to ask, I think.
Equally difficult, I'm sure. So, I mean, its short answer is sure, you could do that.
But as a strategy.
Right. It's just that whether it's divestment or the state bank issue, we have to deal with the state treasurer who opposes both of those things and who holds a certain amount of sway over the legislature because she talks a language that most legislators don't understand. So they trust her on those issues, and so far we have not made a lot of progress, as you know. So, I mean, the short answer is yes, it would make sense to make those investments locally through a state banking
So
institution.
is that something to organize towards?
Possibly, but I would leave that up to the folks who are doing the outside organizing. But it's
Yeah,
not.
well, it brings up something I think is really important. It's how these three main issues that Mary talked about could really tie in together. One of the interesting things I was just tipped off to that the Clinton Foundation, an initiative of theirs, and maybe some people have heard about this, but there was an agreement made between the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, and the AFL-CIO to use teacher pension funds for weatherization projects. So exciting, I think, collaborations like that, I think we could actually do here in Vermont locally. So let me just scan and see if there's anybody who, Mary?
Mary Alice.
Mary Alice.
I just wanted to mention, as a board member of the Vermont Alliance for Retired Americans, we have a lot of retired teachers and state employees, and if somebody would come other than myself, we've been asking about carbon tax, we've been asking about all these things, and it just goes in one ear and out the other because people are afraid of their pension funds. So we'd love to have Anthony or somebody come and talk.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, great. I want to, oh yeah, you
Yeah,
want
I want to add two things.
Okay.
You mentioned that there's a bill in the Senate. There's also a bill in the House that Mary Hooper is a co-sponsor of to do the same thing. So you forgot about that. So thank you, Mary. But we all have to work on getting those passed. And then as well, Treasurer Pierce recently went down to ExxonMobil's stockholder meeting to pass a resolution on there to engage their membership into making themselves better. Well, obviously you know how that went. It actually went less than it did the time before. So we've had our state treasurer operating on things that
She doesn't have a place at the table.
right doesn't have a place at the table.
Place at the kitty table.
Is it quick, Eric? 'Cause I want
So.
to move on. Okay.
So everybody, I hope you're all able to come with us to the VPIC meeting on the 28th at 8:30 to Pavilion Building. We're going to meet on the porch.
And there's plenty of room there. And there was only about, what, 6 of us there last two Tuesdays ago?
15.
15.
15.
It wasn't enough. We
Oh, yeah,
need a
well,
lot
we're
of
gonna
people.
fill the
And
auditorium
they
this
do
time.
listen to us.
Yep.
Right.
8:30 morning or evening?
Morning.
Morning.
What's VPIC stand for?
Vermont Pension Investment Committee.
Great. So I'm going to pass it over to Jim, who's going to talk a little bit about tar sands.